Okay, episode 9 of Andor coming up after this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and in this episode of Andor, we find a few little things out that are kind of interesting, that Vel is actually related to Mon Mothma, and they get together, and Mon tries to talk Vel into going into hiding, basically, showing herself as the spoiled rich girl she is, rather than trying to lead a rebel alliance, considering that so much has gone on in the Empire that has taken some notice of some things that have happened. Now, this is exactly what Luthen wanted in starting all of this, but then he who is called Axis by the Empire is being sought now, and they think the key to identifying him is Andor. Now, of course, the Empire is not aware that Andor is already in prison. They have him under an assumed name. And, of course, the people on Ferrix don't know that he is imprisoned, and think that they might be able to find some way to bring him back to Ferrix so that he'll look after his mother. The Empire, for reasons of catching him, and people like Bix for hoping that he will come and be with his mother before she dies or gets much more ill. Now, what we know, though, of course, is that in doing so, Bix has used a transmitter, which was actually an Empire plant, in order to entrap her. And they, from her and from others that they have kidnapped, have been able to find out a whole lot more about how the Rebel Alliance is getting along, but still don't have a name of who they call Axis. And unlikely to get it because the way they've done business is not using names, but rather just moving money around. So not a whole lot that she could tell them, but once again, her knowing Andor makes them a good source for them. Now, once again, we spend much of this time on Narkina 5, where Andor is imprisoned on a factory prison that the Empire has set up. And we find out from there from an older member of their table who has only like 40 work days to go before he is eligible for release. And he's not having a good time. His hands have gotten to where he can't work as well. Anyway, Andor puts him into a slightly easier job at the table so that he can keep up. But eventually it comes to where the doctor has to be called, and he's had a stroke and there's no help for him some 40 days before he would be released. But we find out that some of the communication that's going on between levels, now our heroes, of course, are on level 5, day shift. They have found that everybody on level 2 was killed, was hit with the largest electrical charge. And the reason is that they found out the big secret of this prison. One is that when someone is released, they don't actually get out. They get sent to another level and put back to work. So the whole idea of having these elongated sentences is meaningless. The whole idea of having the days marked out in your cell before you're released is also just something to keep them working. Tried to stop rebellion, and of course wiping out an entire level was also to stop rebellion. So what we're seeing here in the greater picture is that we're seeing more how the Empire is. In previous Star Wars adventures, it's always been the rebel forces against the Empire. It's the scrappy fighters that are going against the big bad, but they don't really explain what's so bad about them. In fact, there have been some articles written of, is it really the rebels who are the criminals and the Empire just trying to keep order? Well, what we see in sharp relief is that even before the Sith Lords are factored in, the Empire is a very totalitarian state. They insist upon having control and continue to tighten their grip on people as they have the opportunity to do so. What they're building there, I think, is less important than what we've seen all kind of rumors that they're building parts for the Death Star. It really doesn't matter what they're doing. It doesn't matter if they're doing anything productive or not. I think the whole idea is just to keep them from trying to break out, trying to keep them occupied with something. It's possible that there's absolutely nothing that what they're doing is actually accomplishing. And maybe another level that's taking all that stuff apart and sending it back to them to put together. Who knows? Whether it is for the Death Star or not, as it's been theorized, I think that it hardly matters. And what they're trying to show us here is that there was a reason for this rebel alliance to get organized to begin with, that the Empire is in the hands of people who don't care about anything but their own personal advancement in that hierarchy. That is pretty much explained by Cyril, who, while he's at rock bottom right now, wants to be part of that. He says that I can be just as nasty and just as ruthless and do just the same things as all these people in the ISB, and to the point to where there was practically an assault on Miro as Cyril was trying to find some way to get back into a power position. So what we have here, they say you can either tell a great big story, and that's how the Star Wars movies have often been, or you can tell a little story. And the little story that they're telling is how an individual like Andor, who is not really your most upright citizen, but at the same time not a terrible person, is someone that can't get away from the Empire, from the unfairness of it, from the totalitarian nature of it. And it shows that no one has any escape from a government like that. So while all of the other things are going through their motions, like the Imperial Senate, which they established in one of the prequel movies, that it gets very little done. It's all debate and no votes. This is showing where they started from and how they ended up fueling the Rebel Alliance. So, interesting episode, and we recommend it to you. And we know that of course, we know that somehow Andor is going to get out of this prison, but with the knowledge that there is really no legitimate way out, it's time to start thinking about how they're going to do it. And his supervisor, who is also a prisoner, is now starting to think the same way. I'd like to know what you think about all of this. Do you like it? Do you think that this is... it has many of the episodes here have like 100% Rotten Tomatoes score, and I think it's well deserving of that. It's an intrigue. It is a mystery, and it is, even when you know how it's going to end up, essentially, you wonder how they're going to get there. So please subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and until next time, don't go far.